All right, let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guo Yu, and I'm an Air Resources Engineer in California Air Resources Board and organizer of this webinar. Today, my colleague Mohammed Tehrani will give the presentation, and a couple of CARB staff here will provide answers to your questions during the question and answer session after the presentation. With that, I'm handing the webinar to my colleague Mo.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammed Tehrani, and I am an air resource engineer with the Low Carbon Fuel Standard program here at California Air Resources Board. My presentation today will focus on the annual reporting process. I will provide some clarification for reporting entities of various annual reports for compliance year 2022. Before I start today's presentation, let me go over some housekeeping items which I would like to highlight. First, this meeting will be recorded and the recording will be available on our website. Second, all external participants will be muted. However, we will offer opportunities after the presentation to ask questions. If there are additional questions, please email us at the email address provided at the last slide of this presentation, and we will respond at the earliest. With that said, let me start the presentation. Next slide, please. Let me start today's presentation by the highlights for the 2022 annual reporting. First, there is no change in submission process for annual fuel pathway reports or AFPRs for this year, including joint applications. In the program, fuel pathway holders, also known as primary applicants, of certified Tier 1 and Tier 2 and certain lookup table pathways are required to undergo annual fuel pathway verification per section 95.488.10a. We would like first to acknowledge primary applicants for submitting and completing verification of annual fuel pathway reports for the compliance year 2021. So thank you. In today's webinar, I will walk you through the specific steps for submitting an annual fuel pathway report. Primary applicants are advised to review the LCFS guidance posted on the LCFS website, which describes the submission process and documents requirements prior to submitting the report. No change also has been made in submission process for annual project reports, low complexity, low energy use or LCLEU reports, and quarterly fuel transaction reports or QFTRs. Minor changes also, however, have been made in the submission process of annual marketable crude oil volume reports or annual MCONs. And finally, in today's presentation, I will cover the differing verification of 2022 AFPRs. In the next slides, I will walk you through the process. Next slide, please. So first, open LRT-CBTS and AFP login page in your web browser and enter your login credentials. Next slide. Here, you will land on this screen. To create an annual fuel pathway report, navigate to the Annual Fuel Pathway Report tab highlighted in this slide and click on it. Next slide, please. And then after clicking on that tab, this window will pop up. Click on the Create AFP Report as highlighted in the slide. Next slide, please. From the Annual Fuel Pathway Report window, select reporting year, which is 2022. Then select application number from the drop-down menu. Relevant application numbers for each fuel pathway applicant are pre-populated. You need to create one report for each application. However, let me emphasize that what you see on this screen is just for illustration purposes only. Next slide, please. If you are creating a report for a Tier 1 or a Tier 2 pathway, you need to select verification body from the drop-down menu. Lookup table pathway, however, do not require VB selection. After selecting the VB, click on the Begin AFP Report tab to go to the Annual Fuel Pathway Report page. Next slide, please. In case you want to defer 2022 AFPR, here you should select the deferred verification option from the verification body name drop-down menu. Next slide, please. On annual fuel pathway report page, which you will see on the next slide, follow these steps. 1. Upload the required documents. 2. Enter operational CI for each pathway. And 3. Check the attestation box to attest the report accuracy. Next slide. Here is what I was talking about. Next slide, please. Here, you should click on the Add File button. Primary applicants are required to upload Tier 1 or Tier 2 calculator and supporting documents. The Excel CI summary sheet can be uploaded as a supplemental document. The applicant will also upload other supplemental documents if required by the operating conditions or OC. For lookup table pathway requiring AFPR submission, primary applicants will need to upload supplemental document as listed in the AFP user guide. An error message appears if the applicant tries to submit the report without uploading the required documents. Next slide, please. Click on Add Operational CI to enter the operational CI from updated Tier 1 or Tier 2 calculator for each pathway. It's extremely important for the fuel pathway holders to enter the most up-to-date operational CI before submitting the annual report. An error message again will appear if the applicant does not enter required operational CR for each fuel pathway. Next slide, please. You will then check the attestation box. And again, an error message appears if you try to submit without attesting to the report's accuracy, as you can see from the slide. Next slide, please. Finally, click on the Submit button to submit the report. This action will send the report to the CARB and the verification body simultaneously. Next slide, please. The verification body may return the report back to the primary applicant if there are issues. Primary applicants should revise their calculator and upload it along with any supporting documents by clicking on Add File. The entity must enter an operational CI with the revised calculator, and if any data in the calculator changed, that would impact the operational CI. If the entity does not enter a new operational CI, the previous operational CI will remain the same. After entering the relevant information, the applicant will click the box for attestation. Next slide, please. Again, when you click on the Submit button, the report is immediately routed to the verification body and CARB at the same time. Next slide, please. Here, we would like to clarify the role of the fuel pathway holder, also known as a primary applicant for joint application, who is also joint applicant to another fuel pathway. For example, fuel pathway holder of an RNG pathway who is also joint applicant to a hydrogen pathway. The entity playing this dual role of primary applicant and joint applicant is advised to do the following. The fuel pathway holder of the RNG pathway will inform the VB or verification body that once the annual verification of the RNG pathway is complete, the VB then needs to submit the same verification statement and verified calculator as joint applicant via verification online correspondence. Following this exercise will help the staff transfer the joint applicant data to the hydrogen fuel pathways efficiently. Next slide, please. Now, let me provide a quick summary for other types of annual reports. For quarterly fuel transaction reports or QFTRs, which are submitted through the LRT quarterly report according to the deadlines and consistent with the previous practice that you can see on this slide. For project reports electing annual verification, they must be submitted using the LRT correspondence by April 30th, 2023. And the verification statement must be submitted by the VB by August 31st, 2023. Low complexity, low energy use reports must be submitted using the LRT correspondence by March 31st, 2023. The verification statement must be submitted by the VB by August 31st, 2023. And finally, for annual marketable crude oil volume reports or annual MCONs, they must be submitted through the LRT correspondence by April 30, 2023. Verification statements are due by August 31st, 2023. Next slide, please. And before moving on to the final part of this presentation, I would like to emphasize on one point. For all annual reports submitted using the LRT correspondence, if any changes or corrections are made during the verification, the reporting entity must submit the final verified version of the annual reports to CARB via LRT correspondence prior to completion of the verification. We also ask verifiers to remind the reporting entity to do so. Next slide, please. And now, finally, I would like to talk a little bit about the previously deferred annual reports verification. Sections 95500B2B and 95500C2B outline annual verification deferral for AFPRs and QFTRs. In both sections, if entities are eligible to defer annual verification, they can do so for up to 2 years or until next year that they are subject to annual verification, whichever comes first. This year, entities that have previously deferred verification for either AFPR or QFTR may be subject to verification of all previously unverified reports due by August 31st, 2023. There are two examples here for you when previously deferred reports may be subject to verification this year. Next slide, please. In example 1, in the first example, entity A deferred its verification for 2021 and 2020 data years. Entity A must engage with third-party verifiers to verify 2020, 2021, and 2022 data years. The verification statement for each year must be submitted separately. Next slide, please. In the second example, entity B deferred verification for the 2021 data year. In 2022, entity B generated more than 6,000 credits, and therefore, entity B now is subject to the third-party verification. Entity B now is required to have 2021 and 2022 data verified. The verification statements for each year must be submitted separately. Next slide, please. Soon, we will send a reminder email to entities that deferred verification of their annual reports for 2020 and 2021 compliance years. Reporting entities then must coordinate with LCFS annual report to complete the required verification following these steps. For deferred reports of data year 2020, reporting entities must use AFP correspondence function to select VB and separately provide all AFPR relevant documents to the VB. And for deferred reports of data year 2021, reporting entities must request CARB to first unlock the previously deferred reports in the AFPR system, then follow the current AFPR submission process, which we already talked about. Next slide, please. And thank you all for attending today's webinar. We have a staff here to answer any question in the remaining time. Also, you can contact us at the email address listed here for any annual reporting related questions. We highly recommend entities to review our updated version of the guidance document located on our LCFS website. Now I let my colleague to lead the QA session.
Thank you, Mohammed. Hi all, I hope you enjoyed the webinar till now. I should mention that this webinar is recorded, so please raise your hand if you have any questions or comments. I haven't seen any hand raised yet, so please let us know if you have any questions or comments. Okay, Amber Franklin and Aisha Cisna. Let's start with Amber. I have activated your microphone. Please unmute yourself, Amber, introduce yourself and begin.
Well, I don't know why. Is my microphone working now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm Amber. I actually have a question as far as this webinar. Will you guys have this information posted somewhere where we can view it again? Because I have some other colleagues that would want to review the process and what is going to be the requirements, or do they just need to go to the website and look at the notes?
Okay.
Hi, Amber. This is Ray Chen. I'm the manager for the field project evaluation section under LCFS. So if you're looking at our slide, the screen right now, this slide, you can see that where the material, including the slides and the recording of this webinar will be posted.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you, Amber. Then let's go to Aisha Cisna. I activated your microphone. Please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and begin.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, my name's Aisha. I work at the Redwood Coast Energy Authority and handle our LCFS compliance. Another simple question. I just navigated to the link, and I understand the recording, of course, won't be available until after this. It looks like when I typed it in, the page wasn't found. So my simple question is, approximately when will the slides and recording be posted?
Hi, Asha. So these material should be posted within 24 hours after after this session. We will work our best to post the slides and recording on the link you're seeing. And if you can navigate to the LCFS website, on the left-hand side, there's navigation bar, and you can find meetings and workshops. You can also click on that link to take you to this page if this currently doesn't work. Also, I would like to remind everyone that we have updated user guides or guidance documents also available on our website. So similarly, under our LCFS website, on the left-hand navigation bar, click on guidance documents and FAQs. So it'll take you to that page, and you can find various guidance documents and the user guides on that page.
Awesome. I did have a follow-up, and I think I'll just look to the AFP guide after I ask if you think that's best. We have a zero CI fuel pathway, so it's been pretty streamlined for us, and we haven't needed a verification entity in the past. I was just wondering if you have any insight on, I think we just show our RECs and our power mix to show our zero CI fuel pathway for our charging stations. But I guess at a high level, do you foresee any big changes to that verification process for zero CI?
Hello, yeah, I'll take these questions. Yeah, we are not anticipating any changes with regard to lookup table pathways, including zero CI or low CI electricity pathways as far as the verification requirement is concerned. So it's the same, and most likely will continue going forward.
Okay, thank you, Aisha, for your question, and thanks, Ray and Anil, for your answers. I cannot see any other hand raised, so please let us know if you have any other questions. I give you a few more minutes. And you can also send your questions to our email, just in case you have any questions in the future. Okay, Aisha has another question, or?
Yeah, I went to the LCFS guidance documents, and I just wanted to confirm that I'm looking at the right guide. I'm seeing the LCFS guidance 2020, or sorry, LCFS guidance 2201 that was published today. Is that the right guidance document to refer to?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aisha, for your question. And Anil, let's go with Brian Goldman. Brian, I unmuted you. I activated you, actually. Please unmute yourself and yeah, begin. We cannot hear you, Brian. Please unmute yourself. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you.
Is this working?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that was weird. Hi, Brian Goldman from Sonoma Clean Power. Just a quick note, the reason why the link doesn't work is because there should be a hyphen in between the fuel and the standard. And if you go there, that will get you to the link. So it should be low hyphen carbon hyphen fuel hyphen standard / LCFS. So that worked for me. Hopefully it works for everyone else.
Thank you, Brian, for the tips. So, any other questions? John Sense. I activated your microphone. Please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and begin.
Great. My name is John Sens, Chevron Renewable Energy Group. I just had a quick question on the AFP portal itself. I know in years past there's been a annual fuel pathway report tab that's been populated with like prior year's reports. I'm just wondering if those will all be cleared out and if all of our facilities will look the same as like you have in the deck. Just because I know last year I think we used correspondence or something. I just wanted to be sure that older registered sites will look the same as what you presented today. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, John.
I am Rachel Connors, one of the managers with the Low Carbon Fuel Standard. What you should be seeing is all active facilities on the drop-down menu that require an annual fuel pathway report for that compliance year. So if we're thinking about this as reporting for data year for 2022, you should see all facilities that require an annual field pathway report and FPCs associated with that.
Okay.
If you think you're seeing something different, go ahead and send us an email and we'll take a look at it, please.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John and Rachel. I see Justin Berg. Justin, I activated your microphone. Please introduce yourself and begin.
Cool, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay, awesome, thanks. So we underwent, I work at NL, we underwent a transition from purely being NLX North America to NLX Way. And so my question is, we began reporting data in Q2 of 2022, and because of that sort of delayed transition. And so my question is there a different procedure for submitting the annual report for our new entity, given that it did not essentially exist in the system for Q1 of 2022, or how does that work exactly?
Thank you for your question, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Because you're talking about quarterly reporting, I'm assuming that you're asking about fuel transactions reporting and verification of the quantity of fuel reported. Is that right?
No, it'd actually just be for the annual report. So we've been regularly submitting.
Okay, so against a facility. So you should go ahead and take a look, but the owner of the facility, so whichever facility the account resides in, will be the one required to complete any reporting or verification requirements. So that means that the owner at the time of those deadlines is the one that is responsible per the regulation. But in practice, that means wherever the facility exists and whatever account will be the one that it's claimed to. So if it should be moved, then we should talk about that. So go ahead and yeah, send us an email if you have any more questions on that. That one specifically can probably come to me.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin and Rachel. I will unmute Mark Ventura. Yeah, your microphone is activated, Mark. Please unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mark Ventura, Phillips 66. Question on the operational CI. So we operate under provisional. Obviously, we don't have an operational CI. And my question is, what's the process to get the operational CI if it's happening? If the 24-month of operation happens kind of mid-year, do we wait until next year's annual report, or what's the process for that?
Hello, this is Anil Baral. Yeah, with regard to question on provisional pathway on when that will be removed. So it's always removed after annual verification, and for us to remove that annual that provisional status after annual verification, that annual reports need to have 24 months of operational data. So first you need to submit an annual pathway report that will have 24 months of data, and following verification, we will remove that status. So that would happen as part of the annual field pathway recertification.
Okay, thank you. I guess just a clarification that do we need to do a separate verification mid-year, or we just go for next year's verification?
Yeah, if that provisional status has not been removed this year, so it will happen next year when your annual field pathway report has 24 months of data.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, then appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And Anil, I cannot see any hand raised, but I can see unanswered questions. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. I unmute Jeff Kahn. Yeah, you're activated, Jeff. Yeah, your microphone is activated now. Please unmute yourself. and ask your question.
Hi, this is Jeff Cohn. Sounds like you can hear me. Great. So I was wondering, sorry, I'm with Shell Recharge Solutions. I was wondering if you could confirm the documents, the supplemental documents required for the zero CI electricity lookup table pathway. I believe it's just the W Regis export rec retirement report, but I wanted to confirm that that was the document needed and if there were other supplemental documents required for the annual fuel pathway report.
Yeah, for low CI electricity lookup table pathways, yes, only that Regis documents showing the retirement and like quarterly retirement. So that's what we you need to submit. So there are no other additional requirements.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I go with IM. Please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hi, this is Ian, DTE. If you could you tell us a little more about the timing on the credit adjustment coming out of the 2021 AFPR? When could we expect that?
Okay.
Thank you. That's a great question. We're still under evaluation right now and doing some evaluation on the impact to that credit adjustment as we get closer to the annual compliance report. Should you have any concerns, you can email me those concerns directly specific to your account. So we don't have an answer for you at this time, unfortunately.
Thank you, Rachel. We have Jasmine Sada. I unmuted, actually I activated your microphone. Please unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Oh, sorry, I didn't have a question. I just said thank you to Brian for correcting the link.
Okay, thank you. So let's go with Nancy Jane Lefevre. I activated your microphone. Please unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Oh, thank you for seeing my typed question. I was just wondering if you could pan back to the previous slide and just hold that for a minute for those deferred verifications.
Thank you, Nancy. Nancy, can you please repeat your question?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you. It seems, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I was just wondering if you could pan back to the previous slide for the deferred verifications, just so we can see that again.
Okay.
Of course, I posted my question before I saw you'd be posting this online, but still, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Goa, can you please go back the slide? And someone answer, okay. It should be for deferred verification. Yeah, this one. Nancy, I hope you have answer for your question on this slide. Yeah, I unmute you just in case if you have further question, or maybe you can send us an email if you have questions, still you have questions. I unmuted you. It seems you already, okay.
Yeah. Just a couple more forward. I think it said how to access the deferred reports and kind of open them for verification. I will grab the slides online. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. I'm waiting for, okay. Okay, maybe we have Paulo Fortu. Yeah, we can come back to Nancy's questions again. Paulo, I activated your microphone. Please unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Paulo.
Cool. Sorry if this is like an elementary question. I'm looking at the guidance document right now for LCFS report, and I'm going through it, but it still isn't kind of evident to me which of these annual reports are required of us in as a innovative crude project. I guess from here I'm also not quite sure where to go if some of these reports are pertinent to our project.
So Paolo, this is Ray. Innovative Crude Project falls under our project reports category. So you can find project report in that guidance document. And if you're selecting a quarterly verification and the credit generation, I'm sorry, Miriam, I'm hearing echo. Could you please mute?
It's yeah, Paulo. I muted him. I thought maybe he has further question. I muted and again I remuted. Okay.
Thank you. So for project reports, entities can elect either generate or have a verification and generate credit on a quarterly or annually basis. So for those choose quarterly credit generation, they are not required to submit the annual project reports. So the annual project reports is only required for entities electing verification and the credit generation on the annual basis.
Okay, let me unmute Paul again.
Gotcha. And the other stuff like the AFPR and the MCON and QFTR, those are not relevant to us then, right? As a result.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And Nancy, David will reach you out, and yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask him. So actually, I cannot see any other hand raised. I can see unanswered questions, but I believe I went through all of you. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I guess there is no questions. And I want to mention that attendees cannot chat in the GoToWebinar chat. Please, if you have any questions, please raise your hand for your questions. Thank you. I give you few more minutes, and if not, I believe no one have any questions. Okay, I give you just a couple of minutes, maybe one more minute, and if there is no questions, yeah, I think you're done with the webinar. I hope all of you enjoyed. Just one more minute for further questions. Okay, it seems there is no other questions. Thank you all for joining the webinar. I hope you enjoyed and learned. If you have any further questions, please send your questions to our email, and you can also reach out to our website for further information. Thank you again, and have a great day. Thank you.